Gareth Parkes, welcome to the Data Strategy Show. 66 questions, Data Leaders Unplugged. Gareth, how are you doing this morning?
Hi, Samir. Yeah, very well, thank you. Yeah, really
Great.
looking forward to the conversation.
Yes, likewise. And a happy new year to you. Even though we
Year.
discussed, it's probably one of those things which I think is, maybe it's the last week that you can say that to people.
I think so, yeah.
Right, Gareth, let's go straight into it. Gareth, what's your wake-up ritual?
Well, so I've got two very young children. So my wake-up ritual is basically everything that I need to do in order to get them out the door.
Yes. As
yeah,
fast as possible.
Exactly. Yeah. And
then,
never fast enough.
So. No, oh gosh, yeah, don't tell me about it. I have the same issues. And then you have time for yourself, or you just chill out, do you?
It's usually a bit of time to eat breakfast, and then straight into
work.
The day. So,
yeah, brilliant. Yeah. What would you say is your biggest strength?
I think my ability to think on my feet about difficult situations is probably
and in the complex landscape that you're in, that sort of needs you to look at and orchestrate a whole bunch of different plates spinning.
Exactly. There's all sorts of different moving parts, and it's about working out, actually, well, if this thing moves, then what's the knock-on effect, and what are the implications 2 or 3 steps removed.
So you're always looking that far ahead.
That's something that I perhaps to a fault think about the long term.
No, it's good. What's the biggest learning experience you've had?
So I love learning, and just voracious reader, and pick up on all sorts of things, but I think actually what I love learning about myself is my kind of learning experience. And I guess actually it's then often the conversations that I have with my wife, and she's incredibly kind of useful at helping me to explore and understand myself, which
hopefully she's more useful at everything else, because when she listens to this, she said, Gareth, you said I'm just useful for you.
Oh very much so. No,
I'm sure it's fine. Do you have a first memory of life?
Probably one of my earliest is actually being bitten by a dog on holiday.
Oh my goodness, that's not a great one, is it?
But it's not on the face of it, but actually the more that I kind of and I mean, we're going back that far, how much you construct these memories, and how much of it is sort of actuality. But actually my sense of it is and my overriding feeling is one of the comfort that my sort of parents and my family sort of provided to when that happened. And so it's not such a long time ago. The
security that you had around that.
Exactly. Yeah,
wonderful.
Very much so.
Wonderful. What are you most excited about these days?
I love what I do, and I'm just really excited about the year ahead. I think we're going to have a really great year. There's so much in the construction sector. There's so much sort of change going on, and it ebbs and flows. We've got huge sort of market challenges that we're dealing with at the moment, but I guess I relish those sort of incredibly difficult, complex challenges, and plotting way through them.
And what's the one thing that you would say is the biggest challenge for you right now, given those market conditions, but something that you feel you're given that when we talked about the immaturity in terms of data, what's the one thing that you think that this year is going to change in that dynamic?
So a lot of it comes down to understanding of it's not so much what's possible, it's it's how we are how we're delivering, how we're setting ourselves up to make that those possibilities a reality. And so, and I think it's what I'm expecting to see this year is a bit of a step change in that level of it's almost sort of stakeholder understanding of what we're able to do.
Yeah, it makes sense. So still a lot of hand holding, still a lot of guiding people, and what's the best compliment you've ever received?
So last year, in fact, I was lucky enough to be offered a board position on an external organization. It's a startup, not for profit, called the Construction Data Trust. The goal is to use data to transform the sector. Privileged to be asked to take up a position on the board.
Fantastic. Well, that sounds great. Congrats. What makes you angry?
I don't get angry very often.
Okay.
But I think the thing that probably frustrates me and annoys me and makes me angry the most is when people don't think about the implications of what they're doing, or the sort of the knock-on effects, or the impact of what they're doing on people around them.
That's always quite an important one. What makes you smile the most?
Definitely my kids. And time with my family is
it's wonderful.
Absolutely love that.
Great. Do you have a secret talent?
Not sort of specifically, I don't think, but one thing that I'd say I'm particularly good at is spotting connections between completely different things, and so being able to join the dots between all sorts of things that are on the surface entirely unrelated.
Yeah, that's why you're in data, to make those.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Understand those patterns.
What I'm doing, as much as I do.
So, if you weren't doing what you're doing now, what would you be doing?
I would love to go into space. Love to be an astronaut.
My goodness! Wow.
That would be my
amazing.
If there's anything that I could be doing instead of what I'm doing,
awesome. What are the 3 things that you can't live without?
I think this might be a slightly strange one, but my sense of sort of purpose, and I'm very driven, and I think I would find it difficult if I didn't have that.
That's an amazing point. No one's actually ever said that. Did you know that?
But I guess it's so it's not a physical thing.
No, absolutely. I love it.
I think sort of books in general, and an ability to to read and consume books of all sorts of different types would be a second. And then I've mentioned my family a couple of times, but I'm so close to my wife and kids, but then my wider family as well.
Extended fantastic. On the subject of books, what fictional character would you want to be?
I don't know, to be honest.
No? Okay.
I know if I asked my daughter, then she'd say something from either a character from Moana or from Frozen. But I guess it would probably be a character from history. Somebody.
Okay. What's the most adventurous thing you've done in your life?
Well, so when I was just after I graduated, I went to South America and spent a year traveling and doing some volunteer work in South America. But when when I was there, probably certainly the most adventurous thing that we did was I was there with a couple of mates. We travelled into the Colombian Amazon rainforest. Wow. So on a sort of 5-day trek to a place called Ciudad Perdida, so Lost City. So it's absolute middle of nowhere, and just have so many fantastic memories of.
I bet.
That.
I hope you had a guide.
Yes, we had it was the three of us. We had a fantastic.
It sounds amazing.
Guide. Yeah, it was.
We could have a whole show on that. What's the last show that you binge watched?
It's something called the Last Kingdom.
Oh yes,
So it's based on Bernard Cornwell novels, all about the time of King Arthur. King Alfred.
But going into
and moving into so Alfred and then the makings of England as
the Magna Carta and so on.
So
wonderful. I haven't seen it yet, but it's one on my list. How would you define yourself in 3 words?
I'd say I'm enthusiastic. I'm compassionate, or is that or passionate? One of the two, or maybe and tenacious.
Fantastic. Well, is there anything that is currently inspiring you in the data world right now?
So something that I find incredibly inspiring is some of the work at it's almost cross-sector work that's going on around project data analytics.
Okay. Yeah.
So the way that projects get delivered now, and there's some incredibly just it's crazy. I can't statistics around this, but when it comes to the way that projects get success of projects, only 1 in 200 major projects is delivered on time, on budget, and inside the benefits envelope that was laid out at the beginning. And so there's a movement of people and organizations that are trying to do something about that using data and bringing all of the modern analytical techniques and compute power to that's now available to change that.
Yeah, fantastic. I love that. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
As a young leader, team manager, my boss at the time, he took me aside after I was starting to get very vocal about frustrations that I'd got with the sort of lack of pace and lack of change and the challenge that I was seeing within the organization. And he said that it's fine for me to have all of those things, but to take a look at my team and see how my attitude and the way that I was coming across was sort of impacting on them, and seeing how they were sort of picking up on some of the language and some of the frustrations that I'd got. And so I think what that really kind of taught me was the responsibility that you've got as a leader to lead, and to lead in the right way. Great advice. What makes you feel accomplished? I think, it ties back to what I said about my sort of sense of purpose, and we've got so many challenges in the world today. Sort of societal challenges, environmental challenges. The climate crisis that we're dealing with at the moment, and these are phenomenally difficult things that we need to deal with. Being able to say at the end of the day that I can draw a line to some of the things that I'm doing to some of those huge
challenges,
things that go way beyond what I'm doing. That,
but you're doing your bit, and
know
I think
that I'm doing something that I believe in.
Wonderful. What 3 words describe living in the UK?
Cool. 3 words describe living in the UK. Exciting, I guess almost peaceful or tranquil, and yeah, I don't know, I'll have to think about a third
no
one.
problem. Optimist or pessimist?
Optimist.
What's heavily played on your music playlist right now?
I've mentioned Frozen and Moana.
Yeah,
it tends to be.
It's more. It's inside your head. It's not on the playlist anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Is it? It's
I don't need any headphones. It's just there. Yeah. No, but when I'm not at all musically talented. But and I guess my taste in music are just very eclectic, and depending on what I'm doing or where I am, then I'll listen to something different.
So do you have a favorite band, or is it just you go across?
So I'm very much sort of I would probably always come back to rock and the likes of the Rolling Stones, for instance.
Cool. What 3 things are at the top of your bucket list?
So I mentioned South America. I'd love to be able to take my family, my kids back to South America and some of the places that I went to, some of the things that I did there, and kind of relive those. I guess following on that theme of travel, I'd love to sort of just take a long distance sort of train rides. So whether or not that's sort of Trans-Siberian Railway or Orient Express, or just the observing changes in landscape and culture and all sorts of things. I think would really like that. And then I guess it's on along a similar theme, but just have a real affinity to open water and sailing on open water.
Wonderful. That's perfect. What book did you most recently finish?
So I've just finished one called The Art of Resilience by a guy called Ross Edgley, who so he swam non-stop around the UK.
Oh wow!
Well, around Great Britain.
Yes.
So the Great British Swim, I think, was
amazing.
A few years ago now, but the whole book is about his journey and how he had to create a whole new sort of philosophy of Stoic sports science to get him round, and how, because of the conditions that he was in, actually it was far more of a mental challenge and far more of an eating challenge than actually a swimming challenge.
God, the different waters he must have gone through. Just horrendous.
So like swimming through the night with a jellyfish tentacle kind of stuck underneath his goggle that he hadn't realized was there.
Oh, and my goodness.
Kind of one of the sort of the stings that was causing him, and almost delirium that he was going through. But that actually he'd got a goal, and
he was so focused.
He was so focused on that, and everything that he needed to do to get there was just part of the journey, part of the experience. And,
amazing. I've written that down. I'll have a look at that. If you could go back in time, what would you tell your 16-year-old self?
Keep playing sport. Keeping active. That's something that and I guess wasn't I sort of picked it up again when I was at university, but through my kind of teenage years I lost a lot of that sort of organized sport.
Yeah. Any particular sport?
Football.
Oh, okay. What position?
I played all over the pitch. Well, yeah.
What's your favorite one?
So I ended up playing as a fullback, to be honest.
Okay.
And as a sort of marauding fullback. So loved, and part of what I had in my locker was my sort of my energy levels. So being able to bomb forward and,
and then come back.
And then make it back. But so knew it was time for me to hang up my boots in playing 11 aside when ball got hit over my head.
Yeah.
There I was I don't know, I was probably about 30 or so at the time. Up against a fairly young winger, going sort of, shoulder to shoulder, charging for the ball, and then my winger charged past the pair of us, picked the ball up and knocked it back up the pitch, and I thought I was quite fast. So at that stage,
and then you realise your limitations.
I think that was my point at which I
I had one of those
11 aside for me.
Oh gosh, they're the worst things when you suddenly have that realization. You think, oh my god, I can't do this anymore. If you could switch lives with one person for a day, who would it be?
I would go for Edu Gaspar.
Oh yeah.
So I'm a big Arsenal fan, and love what they're doing at the moment, and sat at the top of the league. But for me, it's the work that Edu as the sort of sporting director, and it's that long-term focus of not only building a successful team for today, but making sure that there is that longevity. Just
tough to do in many of these clubs, isn't it?
Yes, very much so.
If you had to change something in the world right now, what would it be?
Making a switch to 100% renewable energy.
If you could resurrect one person from history and put them in the world today, who would it be?
Good question. There are so many, but I guess perhaps one of the American forefathers, maybe someone like Benjamin Franklin.
Really? And how bizarre. I was just thinking that. Did you know that?
Really?
Yeah. I was just thinking he's, that's amazing.
Yeah,
they went through something, didn't they?
They did, and I think there's definitely a place to learn from them. This time.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, what's the one thing you wish you knew at the age of 19?
That time is really precious, and that's something that actually applying yourself at that age and working out, it doesn't have to be the thing that you're going to always end up doing, but applying yourself at that age. And
makes sense. Have that focus, and because you can be quite all over the place at that age, can't you?
I
trying to find yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess perhaps completely contradictory to what I've just said, that you don't. It took me a while to find my purpose and find my direction.
Well, you're young. I mean, it's not as if you know it. I mean, it's sort of, coming into the world and thinking, oh my God, where's my place? Which is, which is, I think we all go through. If you weren't living in the UK, where would you be living?
So my wife and I love southern Italy.
Any place in particular?
Just somewhere in Puglia. Anywhere down in the heel of Italy.
Wonderful, great place. If you could offer one piece of advice to upcoming data leaders, what would it be?
Connect with other data leaders.
Yeah.
It's can be incredibly lonely as a data leader. It working often in your organization. We've mentioned the sort of immaturity of the construction sector when it comes to understanding of data. But I know from conversations with data leaders across many other sectors, they face a lot of the same challenges.
Exactly.
But having those contacts and having those connections, and some of the, between us, we kind of call it therapy sometimes, just being able to chat to
you need it, because you need that sounding board, don't you? I think it's everybody needs that default person or body of people that you can just call and say, hey, listen, I'm having this problem, what do I do? No, I think in all industries it's really important that you have that network. What's one city you've always dreamed of traveling to?
Good question. I've I guess perhaps somewhere like Beijing or Shanghai, somewhere. I've been lucky enough to travel around a fair bit, but somewhere.
You haven't got as far as that yet.
So I've been to various places, but never been to China.
Right. Yeah. What was the best lesson your parents ever taught you?
I think probably sort of compassion for other people, and to put myself in other people's shoes, and think about the fact that they are an individual, and they have their own kind of wants and needs, and
of course
often people don't do anything, or it's unlikely they're doing something malicious, even if they're kind of and actually to just sort of step back and think about that.
Yeah, good advice. A few quick round questions. Favorite food?
Maybe lasagna.
Oh, favorite podcast?
Good question. I've not been out with the kids.
Okay, don't worry.
I've not listened to any podcasts for a while.
How do you relax?
Time out in the open air with the kids.
A movie that made you cry? Don't say Frozen.
And I won't say Moana either.
Makes you cry for other reasons.
I can't think of one, but last year was quite an emotional year. We had some my mum passed away.
Oh, sorry to hear.
But it's I hadn't thought of myself as an emotional person. Now I find myself tearing up at all sorts of things.
Yep.
I mean, I mentioned the Art of Resilience, so I was listening to that as an audiobook, and there were times I'm sort of on the way home from the school run, and fighting back the tears. Something that's completely innocuous, but I can empathize with that for sure. Who would you say is your biggest inspiration? I'm not sure I've got one. I think there are so many different kind of incredibly strong leaders and people with all sorts of different traits. I think those that are sort of full of humility probably are some of the ones that are most inspiring. I don't know if you've got a window in front of you. I don't know whether you're. So I'm in a basement. You're actually in the basement. That's what I thought. That's what I thought. So you don't. You sort of see the stairs in the background, but you can't see anything. No, I was going to say, what can you see out through your window? What's something that you still possess from your childhood? We've still got a lot of the toys that I had when I was growing up. Wow. And they would have lived in my parents' loft for decades. And in fact, and so when
and they're still intact.
Well,
amazing.
so, yeah, and then so we moved into this new into this house 18 months ago or so, and literally 2 days after we'd moved in, there was a knock at the door, and a truckload of stuff that it had been in storage just turned up. And yeah, they were like, right, here you go, you can deal with this now, this is your problem.
Yeah, exactly. Time to take some responsibility.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I think my father did the same thing to me at one point. What's a superpower you wish you had?
So I don't know if this counts as a superpower.
All right.
But in Harry Potter,
yes,
Hermione had a time turner.
Oh yes.
So the ability to effectively be in two places at once. And never be late.
Yeah,
and,
perfect.
Yeah, I'm.
Well, it's a super object.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. What's something you don't want to be doing in 10 years?
Oh, good question. Something that I definitely want to be doing that I don't do very much of at the moment.
Right. Okay. Flip it round.
Is far more exercise.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'm currently doing.
Yeah, I think I'm definitely conscious of that too. Looking back on your life, is there anything you would have done differently?
I'm not sure, to be honest.
That's fine.
Yeah, there's some things that I definitely have regretted, and but at the same time, recognize that I probably need to sort of forgive myself for those things.
Absolutely.
And learn from them.
Yeah, that's the biggest way. A movie that makes you laugh the hardest.
Christmas Vacation.
Okay. If you could teach one subject in school, what would it be? School or university or college?
Probably history.
What's a skill you're currently mastering?
Coaching.
Ah, okay. What 3 words best describe your leadership style?
Cooperative. Open. And I guess I try to be quite thoughtful as well.
What are your top 3 data challenges right now?
So a lot revolve around, I guess it's 3 parts of the same challenge almost, but certainly 2. But access and ownership, but then also trust in data.
It seems like a common theme.
Yeah.
The ownership one in particular, but trust
very much so.
is massive. How do you handle pressure in your career?
So I tend to go back to the big picture and pull back to really recognize, actually, in the grand scheme of things, how much does this, how important is this pressure? And then we'll also kind of fall back on the my learning and my experience, and then work out what action needs to be taken, what needs to be done.
Yeah, very thoughtful process. What's the one thing you had to learn the hard way?
Delivering change.
Oh, big bucket.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is something that's tough. What's something you notice about someone when you first meet them?
Perhaps how engaged they are, how
interested.
How interested, and how much they want to be there. But also that part of that is how comfortable they feel.
Yes. Yeah. What's something you still like to learn?
I still like to learn. I'd love to learn to sing. And And
Okay.
now that is a tall order, because that is, yeah, and it's going to be something that is very difficult, but yeah.
And have you tried it before? Is that something you just...
Other than sort of various kind of nightmare situations,
Karaoke situations,
karaoke, or yeah, standing up in front of the class. Yeah, vivid memory of standing up in front of class at school and having to sing something solo, and
oh my goodness,
just
fantastic.
completely butchering it. Yeah.
Well, you got time. You could be singing in 10 years' time. You know,
absolutely.
You could be there.
Yeah.
And my final question to you, Gareth, is what would you like to be remembered for?
Good question. I guess I'm not so bothered about me. What I would, I guess the impact that I would like to have is that I think where we are as humanity at the moment, there's a huge opportunity for some new institutions to grow up around data. So if you think back, what, 150, 200 years, and all of the sort of pioneering engineering institutions that are still around today, and that have had a huge impact on society over a really long period of time, and whether or not it's the likes of those organizations sort of embracing data and becoming more data driven, or whether or not it's a new sort of epoch of data-driven institutions that are there to help bind together some of the sort of fabric of society, help increase the levels of trust in the world, help solve some of the huge sort of challenges that we face. So yeah, being a part of that is something that I would, I guess, like to be remembered for.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, Gareth Parkes, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you about you and your journey. Thank you very much, and I wish you well for the day.
Super. Thanks very much, Samir. Yeah, really enjoyed it.
Great. Thank you.